Welcome, everyone. This information session is for the 2022 Mellon Public Scholars Program, and I will overview the program today in the session. I will talk more about the eligibility and the application information and review some of the pre-established partner projects that we're offering for this year, and also answer any questions that you may have for folks who are attending this session live. This recording will be posted on the DHI's YouTube page and website in the future to reference as you prepare your presentations. So welcome. My name is Stephanie Maroney, and I am the program manager for the Mellon Public Scholars Program. I'm also an alumni of UC Davis. I got my PhD in cultural studies in 2018. I'm also an alumni of the Mellon Public Scholars Program. I was in its inaugural cohort in 2016. So I'm really happy and grateful to be able to be in this position to offer feedback to graduate students in the program, because I have a kind of unique experience as being in the program, being a grad student at UC Davis, and now as the kind of prime administrator of the program itself. The program is housed within the UC Davis Humanities Institute. So for folks who are not as familiar with the DHI, we are in Voorhees Hall. We offer a few things that are geared towards graduate students, one of which is the Mellon Public Scholars Program. But I also wanted to just bring your attention to a weekly newsletter that we send out called This Week in the Humanities. And if you go to our website, dhi.ucdavis.edu, you can find a link to sign up for our newsletter. We send out really good information about events, profiling information here in the humanities, as well as awards and fellowships, and some of our own programming. One of which is a series called PhD Unlimited, which is a monthly professional development series that's really geared specifically for arts and humanities PhD students. We offer it on a range of topics from tomorrow, the next workshop tomorrow is on grant writing, really introductory level. How do you even kind of start writing and thinking about grant writing as an arts and humanities PhD? We also offer topics on podcasting, on creating a web presence online, telling your graduate school story to potential employers. So I encourage you to check out that series for more information. The DHI itself also administers a number of awards and smaller fellowships to graduate students, one of which is the Mellon Public Scholars Program, which is why you are all here today. So welcome. The program, first of all, proposals are due on January 14th. So you want to mark that date in your calendar, as well as the website publicscholars.ucdavis.edu, which is the main website for the program and contains the full call for proposals on that page. So if you just go to the homepage, you'll see the full call right there. And that has all the information you will need to prepare your proposal and submit it. I'm going to provide a brief background about the program for those who have not heard of it before. It's funded through the Andrew W. Mellon Foundation, so it's an externally funded program, but it is administered through the UC Davis Humanities Institute. We received the initial 3-year award for 2015 through 2018, and it was renewed through 2021. So we are, really generous support from the Mellon Foundation and are grateful to have that. Support for the program is not continuing through Mellon. So for the 2022 year, we've actually been able to continue some of the funds left over from our 2021 program, but we are grateful for generous support from UC Davis Graduate Studies, who provided a large sum to help with the grad student fellowships, as well as fundraising efforts from the DHI's own Humanities and Arts Advisory Council, which is a group of community members that really believe in the program and have contributed funds toward it. So the 2022 cohort will be funded by this kind of wonderful group of supporters of the program, as well as the Mellon Foundation. The program was designed to combine some different elements through the lens of public humanities. So on the one hand, it's geared towards research-oriented work by humanities, arts, and humanistic social science PhD students to think about public scholarship in the broadest sense, finding new audiences, doing work that is community-centered, and learning about ways in which the work you do as a PhD student can impact a broader segment of society than just the university itself. We also bring in some professional development opportunities for grad students. So within the program, we spend time thinking about how the work and skills and experiences that you gather as a public scholar will really translate beyond the life of the university and into potential career paths that you might be interested in. We do this explicitly through our pre-established partnership program, which I will go into in more detail, which are like professional mentorship and research opportunities that the DHI arranges for grad students with our internal partners. The program has over 60 program alumni at this point, so there's a really incredible network of graduate students and graduated students who've been in the program and are continuing at UC Davis or have graduated and moved into other academic positions and more than academic positions, kind of all over the country. The program has several components, so the first of which is the selection process, which we're beginning in right now. If you're selected into the program, you will enroll in a spring seminar with your fellow cohort mates. You will select a faculty mentor, a community partner, and you will create a collaboratively designed summer research project along with that community partner. And in the end of this process in the fall, you'll share back about your work through a showcase, which has been presented online the last 2 years, but we're hoping will be in person for 2022. So the program itself has all of these different elements, and that's kind of a part of, it's almost a year-long process, basically, from application to the fall showcase. As a fellow, you receive $7,500 in the summer, and this is just directly to you as support to carry out the project. You're also eligible to be reimbursed for up to $400 through a supplemental project grant. And that means that if you had to undertake travel or be reimbursed for mileage or purchase materials that are kind of central to the work, or pay an honorarium to a community member for their engagement on the project, we offer $400 for that. The program has eligibility restrictions, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about the details that are required for the application itself. The program, since it's funded through the Mellon Foundation and is administered through the Humanities Institute, is just for doctoral and MFA students who are in the arts, humanities, and humanistic social sciences. So you know, we'll kind of leave it to yourself to define how the humanistic part of your social sciences program is communicated in the program. But if you're in the arts and humanities, you are already eligible. You can be at any stage of your graduate training. So we have funded people who are really in the last year of their program and are looking to develop community engaged research projects as almost like a capstone experience in grad school. We've also awarded first and second year students who are still formulating what their research projects are, knowing that it is going to be community-centered, community-based research. And you know, everywhere in between. We have several students who are also going through qualifying exams as they're a part of this program. So know that there's not any one stage of the process or any one kind of graduate student that we can award, as long as you're in the arts, humanities, and humanistic social sciences. Another important eligibility component is the proposed project's relevance to the humanities and arts. So it's important that the project be rooted in the kinds of questions and methodologies that are central to the arts and humanities. Anyone with an interest in public scholarship or community engaged research is encouraged to apply, whether or not that's explicit in your dissertation. So it's actually an important distinction in this program is we aren't intending this to be a dissertation support grant, some of which you might be eligible for other programs. And actually the DHI itself, with the Dean's Office, administers a summer dissertation fellowship program. This is different. This program is really encouraging students and supporting students financially to carry out community-centered, community-engaged research. So this may be related to your dissertation project, but it may not be, and that's not a requirement for the program. So know that this project or this program is not explicitly meant to support dissertation research, and it doesn't have to be connected explicitly to your dissertation research. In terms of what you will submit, which you will submit online through the application process, is a short CV, as well as the proposal narrative, which is the main component of the program. You will, in a narrative form of no more than 3 pages, address your interest in the program and your ability to plan and carry out an intellectually grounded, mutually beneficial arts or humanity-based projects with a community partner. And I will kind of go into more detail the criteria that are used for evaluating the proposals, which you can then kind of reverse engineer into your proposal itself to make sure that you're talking about those different points. The program welcomes 2 kind of tracks. One are the original projects, which is proposed from yourself, from your own community. It's a project that you have kind of developed and designed and are seeking funding for. So that would be the original programs. The second are the pre-established. So these are projects that we develop with community partners here at the Davis Humanities Institute. So you would apply to work directly on that project, of which there are contours already defined around what the project is and does. And in this case, we're offering 2 of these pre-established projects. One is with the City of Davis Arts and Cultural Affairs program, and the other is with International House Davis. And I will share more about each of those programs in more detail. Whether you're proposing an original or a pre-established proposal, you are expected to work for about 20 hours a week for 10 weeks over the summer. So just like you would as in a GSR or TA position during the academic year, we would expect the same kinds of time and professional commitment over the summer months. Students can apply to either or both of the tracks, original or pre-established. So if you have an original project in mind with a community partner of your own and you want to propose that, you can also apply to work on a pre-established project with one of our community partners. So you can definitely apply for up to 2 of these different programs, although you may not apply for 2 original projects. So you can do one or both with regard to the original and pre-established. Please submit a separate application for each of those. Finally, if you have questions about the pre-established projects with International House or the City of Davis, please contact me first rather than the host organization directly, because I can definitely share more information about that program. And if necessary, I can connect you to someone in the organization, and my contact info is right there. So the first of our 2 pre-established projects is with the City of Davis Arts and Cultural Affairs program, and it's titled Community Engagement with the Davis Centennial Seal. So this is a really exciting project, very local, and it's actually a continuation of a project from 2021 with one of the scholars that was appointed to work with the City of Davis to develop a kind of engagement plan for this Centennial Seal. It was installed outside of the Hunt Boyer Mansion in downtown Davis, and it's a kind of 6-foot diameter bronze seal that represents these kind of multifaceted histories of Davis. And so for 2022, the city would love a Mellon Public Scholar to come in and engage some of the archives and the stories that the 2021 scholar had compiled, and create either a set of curriculum materials, so ways in which K-12 educators could access this information and engage it in a kind of academic or pedagogical sense, or create some online interpretive materials So take the kind of archive and the physical seal itself and create some kind of an online interpretive platform so that people can engage with the materials without physically having to be in the site. Or C, to create some kind of public programming that would be based on the applicant's unique skills and interests. Again, all toward a goal of engaging a broader community with the seal itself, as well as the kinds of stories and archives that emerge from the seal. So in this case, you could propose to do A, B, or C based on your own kind of unique skills and experiences. The second pre-established project that we're offering this year is with International House Davis. And this is a new partnership, and it's a really great project, and one I think that will be very appealing for folks within the arts and performing arts, which is to serve as the artist liaison for the 2022 International Festival. So International House Davis, for over 10 years now, has celebrated through the annual International Festival in Davis's Central Park. So it's a kind of all-day event of music, dance, food, activities, informational booths, as well as artisanal kind of products for sale. And there's lots of different artists and culture bearers that participate in the event to really showcase the kind of diverse groups that are represented through Davis itself, as well as the communities that take part in the activities and programmings of the International House. So the Mellon Public Scholar in this case would join the organizing team of the International Festival as an artist liaison and would lead up to the October 2nd event itself. And you would work directly with artists. And so you would both kind of have great communication and organization skills in arranging work with the artists themselves. But you would also, which is included in the call here, help the iHouse kind of contextualize those performances. And so some of the questions they're asking are, how can we deepen and center the context, histories, and meanings of artistic expressions beyond a one-day performance festival? So you can read all of this and more on the Public Scholars website. And again, if you had a question or wanted to express interest or know a little bit more about either of these two pre-established projects, please reach out to me, the program manager, directly, and I'd be happy to talk more with you about those. For the majority of applicants, though, you are probably interested in an original project. You have your own community partner in mind and are setting the contours yourself of what that project would look like. There's lots of different ways this can be done. The program really embraces a view of public scholarship as broad, expansive, and it can look like a lot of different things. So the Public Scholars website has an archive of all of the different projects that the over 60 projects that scholars have completed since 2016. But I just pulled a kind of snapshot here of some projects so that you can see how different they can be, basically, and also to represent the really different fields that are a part of the program, from music to geography to linguistics to Spanish and Portuguese to history, etc. Lots of different disciplines have been represented by the program. So for example, a project might build alliances in the case of Hannah's project, meaning it's about building relationships between people and communities in a specific location. Or it could create archives, create digital archives, develop projects that are community-based archives. So collecting information on behalf of or with community members. Lots of storytelling projects have been a part of the Mellon Public Scholars program, using the kind of methodologies of the arts and humanities and the power of storytelling for kind of expressing human collective difference. And those narratives can be expressed really across the globe. We've had very local projects, but then in the case of Danae's, we have projects across Latin America, etc. Another thing that I would point your attention to is curriculum development. This has been an area where we've seen more and more projects proposed around both, in this case, language curriculum or developing curriculum for specific audiences or to address specific topics. And so we welcome, projects that are pedagogical in nature, as long as the communities and audiences that are the recipient of that information is not the university itself, right? So we want to make sure that the communities that we're engaging with are beyond UC Davis. You are invited to view projects from the 2021 scholars through these short videos that they've created as a part of the showcase. So all the scholars, as I said, have to kind of share back about their research in a showcase format. And this year it was online, which is great for access, meaning you all can go and see examples of the kinds of projects we funded. And they go in with, great detail in terms of what they did, how they did it, issues that they encountered. And so in many ways, this is like kind of the best way to learn about the kinds of projects we fund, is to hear from the scholars themselves about the work that they undertook. So this is an important slide, and this information, again, is also available on the Public Scholars website. You can actually download the rubrics that we use to evaluate the projects, because these are the criteria that you will be evaluated on with your proposal, and which you should also kind of use to structure your proposal itself. Make sure you're addressing these different criteria. They're very similar for pre-established versus original projects, except that with the pre-established projects, we don't ask for a feasibility plan. We kind of already have figured that out in the context of creating the project itself. So I'll review the criteria for the original projects, knowing that there's a lot of overlap here. So it's very important that the project communicate the sense of impact and value to the community partner. And so this will be communicated by what the scholars' experiences and skills are that would be of benefit to the community partner, right? Why is this project mutually beneficial? It's also important that the applicant communicate their potential to execute this work. So community engaged work has very unique challenges. And so I think that it's great if you have already done some of this work to be able to communicate your experiences with it, so that you kind of understand things that might cause a project timeline to grow, or complications that come up. But it's okay if you don't have that experience, because you could also express that as a desire to do community engaged scholarship. So the potential to carry out the project is very important, and you can kind of address that potential as either a track record of having done this work before, or a kind of desire to do the work and why that is meaningful to you. The intellectual foundation of the application is important, that you, again, this might be coming out of your dissertation research or an aspect of your dissertation research, in which case you have a kind of intellectual foundation in the project itself. If that's not the case, it is important to communicate that you understand why this particular issue or this particular research topic is important to the community, and kind of situate that in an intellectual foundation of some sort. You also need to communicate its significance to the humanities, which might be expressed as a particular methodology or a set of theoretical questions, or the kind of audiences that will benefit from the project. For original projects, it's very important that you address the feasibility and the appropriateness of the work. So this can look like a timeline, can look like a work plan, and also to address the dissemination of the research. So we often get, wonderful projects that are about telling stories or creating kind of archives or collecting information, which is incredible and very important. And yet, a lot of scholars don't think about how to make that information then accessible or share it with others. So if you are one that is thinking about a kind of project like this, make sure that you're addressing how that information will be disseminated or how it will be accessed. And if you're working with an organization, or if you're working to create that kind of organization yourself, that person or that group should be a key partner in the dissemination and access of the materials. So feasibility and appropriateness is important for the original projects. Finally, the applicant's potential to contribute to the university's commitment to diversity is one of our key criteria. So this could be expressed as service, research, or perspective. So this could be work that you've done to address issues of diversity in the context of higher education and way beyond. Your research as connected to issues that are disproportionately affecting communities that are disinvested in, or your own personal perspective as you understand it to the university's relationship to diversity. So this is up to you to articulate on the way that this makes sense to you, but I will say that this is something that helps us connect to different communities which may not always have access to university support and resources. So for example, in the past, we've had folks propose to work with, Silicon Valley partners or other well-resourced partners, and those projects have not often advanced. Well, they've never actually advanced because they don't really have the capacity to meet this criteria, because it's working with a partner that is quite well-resourced in the first place. So it's important that everyone understand that that's kind of one of the central parts of the project or of the program. All right, I'm going to go through some common questions that I get when I give my information session. And there's just one last slide that has some information more broadly about the program before I stop recording and open it up for questions. So common questions that we receive: can I propose an international project? Yes, absolutely. We welcome international projects and we welcome applications from international students. You are eligible and we would love to see your projects. Can I use this award to fund my dissertation fieldwork? So I addressed this a little bit, but the answer is maybe. The project you propose can be related to your dissertation, and in many cases is kind of strengthened if you've done some preliminary research in the area via your dissertation project. But your proposal has to offer something that is discrete or kind of additional to the core dissertation work that can be accomplished over the summer. And that's why it's not just a kind of dissertation research grant. The project needs to really begin and end in the context of the grant period. Although, of course, many people continue to work on that topic or with those partners, but we want you to think of something discrete that can be completed in the context of the summer. Do I need to have already worked with this community partner? So no, it isn't a prerequisite that you have already worked with this community partner, and we welcome proposals that are new partnerships. I will say though that it's important that you reach out to the community partner before submitting your proposal to make sure that this project is desired and is needed and that there's interest. Because for lots of community organizations, when they work with graduate scholars, I mean, there's a tremendous benefit that they get from working with you on this project, but it also takes a commitment on their part through time, through resources, through trainings. So when you're proposing a project, you need to have already communicated with that partner and make sure that it is clearly a mutually beneficial project. I'm a social scientist who uses quantitative methods. Can I apply? So again, yes, the answer is yes, maybe. The project needs to center, artistic or humanistic queries and methods. But if you are in a social science program and you use those kinds of methods and theories and questions, you're absolutely invited to apply. And you can look back on the Public Scholars website to see projects that we have funded from folks in social science programs. What if I've never done this kind of work before? So apply, absolutely. We invite proposals, again, from students who can express the desire, but don't necessarily have a lot of experience in public scholarship. Because the program is structured with the seminar, with lots of mentorship, it's actually a great place for people who are just starting out in this field, because you can get training, you can get exposure to different ways of doing public scholarship through these interdisciplinary cohorts, and you get a lot of hands-on mentorship from myself, from the faculty mentors that you work with, as well as, I'm happy to connect you to other staff and students in the university as a kind of support network. Do you provide financial support for community partners? So not directly. The program really was designed to help graduate students think about their relationship to scholarship within and beyond the university. So for that reason, our budget is really centered on supporting graduate student scholars. But as I said before, we do have these supplemental project funds that can be used to support your community partners. Do I have to take the spring seminar? Yes, attending the spring seminar, which is once a week, 2-credit seminar. It is a required part of the program, and it's also a really wonderful part of the program that nearly every scholar says is, a really valuable part of their experience as a graduate student. So I hope it's not, a burden to you, and it actually is a really wonderful experience to get a course, an interdisciplinary course actually on publicly engaged scholarship. So finally, I'm here to help. I can meet and discuss ideas with you. If you have a proposal idea or a partner and want some help refining that idea, I can read proposal drafts and offer feedback that is really geared towards responding to the evaluation rubric. I could also connect you to other Mellon Public Scholars if you wanted to talk more about their experience, or in some cases, scholars have shared their application materials if you'd like to see that. So I can help connect you to those folks if you don't know them, yourself. I can be reached via email at srmaroney@ucdavis.edu. And very importantly, everything that I've said here is also communicated in written form on the homepage of the Public Scholars website. So definitely check out publicscholars.ucdavis.edu and submit your proposals online by January 14th of 2022.